Hello, and welcome to episode number 4 of the AnimeNowMangaLater podcast. I'm your host, Laugh Now Die Later, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Shonen versus Seinen. Now, I do not have any special guests today, and also there will be no call-ins today, even though I'm by myself, and the reason being is I got two people to join us. However, due to my weekend, because I'm recording this before, Monday, this weekend I have a lot going on. I really don't have any time, and so our schedules just didn't match to get the three of us together. But yeah, there was only two people that contacted me to be on the episode. So please, if you guys would like to be a part of the call-in section, then follow me on Twitter at LaughNowDieLTR or join my Discord, link in the description on my link tree. And I always post what the topic is going to be about when I am doing call-ins or when I'm by myself. I always post it and tell you guys what the topic's going to be ahead of time. So whoever wants to join can join, and we can set up a date to record with all of us. But without any further ado, with all of that being said, I'm going to get right into this topic. Now, I'm just going to start off by telling you guys what the shonen versus seinen demographics are. Now, they are demographics. They're not genres. There's different genres in the shonen demographic, and again, there's different genres in the seinen demographic. The reason they're demographics is what I'm about to tell you right now. So the shonen manga, also romanized as shonen or shonen, I don't know, that's just what I found, are Japanese comics marketed towards young teen males between the ages of 12 and 18. So shonen are pretty much targeted to teenagers. So that's the demographic that the manga, the magazines are trying to reach. Sorry, I just couldn't think of magazines for a second. But the magazines are trying to market towards the teenagers between the age of 12 and 18. So you have series, especially, it's males. So with shonen, they try to have some action and things like that to try to market towards young males. Then you have shoujos as well. I'm not going to be talking about shoujos because I don't have any experience, but, those are targeted towards females. But then you have seinen manga, which are Japanese comics marketed towards young adult men. So I'm assuming 18 plus, because you have some series in there that are really gruesome, really dark, and yeah, so seinen are definitely more towards the demographic of 18 plus. Now, the thing I love about shonen, and it can come off as annoying depending on which one it is, and this is going to be the shonen tropes. Now, I love some shonen tropes, and I love how they are done. So some tropes that I found doing research, because obviously I don't know every trope. I feel like most of the shonen I own follow very similar tropes. And that is, one, the power of friendship. Series such as Fairy Tail do that a lot. I also feel like, to an extent, maybe not power of friendship, but I feel like Black Clover kind of has that to an extent. Now, I'm not saying the power of friendship is what makes them win. I'm not saying that, but there's a lot of friendship involved in the storyline, and there's a lot of like people that should be dead, but they get revived due to their friend, like Mimosa and stuff like that. And that kind of frustrates me because I feel like if you're gonna die, just die already, But so the number one was the power of friendship. Then you also got things such as like non-existent parents, whether they're dead or alive. If you look at characters like Gon from Hunter x Hunter, his father was pretty much non-existent. He just went off and did his own thing to let Gon pretty much grow up on his own and become a hunter on his own without the help of his father. Do it on his own, work hard, and become the hunter that he became. And then you got other series like dead parents. Like you got Naruto, his parents were both dead. So it's just a lot of non-existent parents, and I don't understand why. And if they are existent, they don't play really that big of a role. Like if you look at Death Note, his dad played a role, Light's dad played a role, but his mom didn't really do anything. His sister really didn't do anything, at least that I can remember. So yeah, maybe I don't remember. I may have to reread it, but from what I remember, I don't remember his mother doing anything. I said remember like 5 times, and his sister, I don't recall her doing anything either. But anyways, that's the second one, which was non-existent parents. Then you also have the simple-minded protagonist, or should I say like the dumb protagonist. I feel like this has been done. I feel like a lot of characters nowadays aren't following that trope. I feel like a lot of mangakas aren't doing that anymore. Like you had manga characters such as, or protagonists such as Goku, who, let's be honest, Goku's pretty dumb. I mean, he knows how to fight and everything, but just that dumb aura about him joking around and just like, oh my bad, and then laughing it off. When I was doing research, the picture they had for the simple-minded protagonist was Luffy. Now I cannot comment on that because I haven't really read except the first 6 volumes of One Piece, which I already pretty much forgot what happened because I just cut it off for now completely. But I do remember him being a little bit hard-headed, really stubborn and like kind of dumb also. But yeah, the simple-minded protagonist is another trope that has been experimented with a lot. I feel like more in the day. Like I feel like Naruto had a little dumb qualities to him as well. But Naruto, in the universe of Naruto, they had to smarten up, right? Because they did have things such as just their battles were very calculated in Naruto, which is something I love about it. But next, you have tournament and exam arcs. These are tropes and arcs that are really prevalent in the Shonen magazine. You got series such as Yu Yu Hakusho with the tournament arcs. One of the best tournament arcs from what I've heard. I still have to read it, but one of the best tournament arcs ever. I think it's called the Dark Tournament, if I'm not mistaken. So you got tournaments such like that. You got Dragon Ball had a tournament arc. Just a lot of tournament arcs here and there. Exam arcs as well. Naruto, Black Clover with the exam arcs. They're just something that have become kind of prevalent, especially in like the early 2000s, around that time. And then you got, what else do we have? Oh, and then the last one I have that's a trope that has been in the past and still is now is pretty much the becoming the best in one's own universe, such as the Pirate King, such as the Hokage in Naruto, and the Wizard King in the most recent, manga that's out in the new gen, which is Black Clover. So you got the Pirate King with One Piece in the 90s. You got the Hokage with Naruto in the early 2000s into the 2010s. And then you got the Wizard King in the later teens and now in the 2020s. You got Black Clover. So it's something that has been prevalent throughout the shonen demographic. And throughout the genres, you got people wanting to be the best in what they want and what they're doing. You got series like Blue Box. Now, this isn't a main thing in Blue Box, but, the main character in Blue Box wants to become the best in his sport. So, it's just a lot of want to become the best. I want to be the very best, like in Pokemon terms, So, that's pretty much what I got for shonen tropes. A lot more than I have for seinen tropes, I'll tell you that. Seinen tropes, I really have 3. And that's pretty much it. So, seinen tropes include a lot of character development from the seinen that I have read so far, which aren't actually that many. But from what I have read, from like the 6 books of Vinland Saga, from like the 2 deluxe volumes I got of, or deluxe editions I have of Berserk, and some series I'm gonna talk about later, they really do focus a lot on character development. You have Thorfinn, who really, you see his growth from the beginning of the manga in that quote-unquote prologue to the Farmland arc. You see his change in character, and you see all of that from Thorfinn. And you also see that in characters like Guts and all of that. So I really do think that seinen does a great job when it comes to character development. Next, you got dark and edginess tropes. I don't know if that's necessarily a trope, but that's just what I found in my research, and that's what it said in my source. But I will say that is definitely prevalent in the seinen demographic. It gets very dark, a lot of adult scenes, and all of that, and it's edgy as hell. Whether it's just showing a lot of things, or like just a lot of events that occur in seinen are really not meant for kids, so it's very edgy, very dark themes. And when I say dark, not only due to the edginess, but also due to just things that it represents. For example, like you have things such as depression, suicides that happen in seinen manga. Now there may be like seppuku, I think is the name is, and shonen, but they don't really show it obviously. But I think that in seinen there definitely is more openness to showing real life things, though, like it's real life things. And that's why I love seinen. I talked about it in the last episode with Weebro, how seinen manga is really good at pretty much representing real life in a realistic way when it comes to real topics such as depression, such as anxiety, stress, and how a character can cope with it and overcome it. And I just love seinen for that. And also, again, it deals with the character development, how a character grows and learns to deal with, let's say, depression, how they learn to deal with the struggles that they went through in the past, such as characters like Guts, and you really get that growth. I feel like when it comes to growth, for me personally, I prefer seeing a character, even if they're in a fantasy world, going through real life things and overcoming those real life things, than reading a shonen where it's like this guy's becoming a Hokage or whatever. Now, I do like it and I do enjoy it, but I think I prefer the more realistic character development than, becoming like a Hokage. Because what is a Hokage? What is a wizard king? In real life, there's no such thing, right? But in seinen, you have characters that even if they live in a fantasy world like Guts, where there's like devils and demons and stuff, he deals with things that happen in real life. So that's why I really like seinen and the tropes that it has. And it also has a deconstruction of popular shonen tropes, which also deals with how some shonen get confused with seinen. So a series such as Attack on Titan, it has some darker themes despite being a shonen. Series like Chainsaw Man especially, like it gets really gritty and gruesome at times, and you're like, whoa, this is a shonen. Like it's borderline seinen. Same thing with series like Dandadan, which I currently love. That series is really edgy in my opinion for a shonen. It curses, and it doesn't show anything crazy, but it just talks a lot about like things that maybe a 12-year-old shouldn't really read, and you really see that in series like Chainsaw Man and Dandadan. So that's what I think I like too, is that the shonen demographic in itself is kind of, with this new gen of shonen, is kind of transitioning to becoming a little bit darker at times. There's still a lot of lighthearted things. You have series, like I said, like Blue Box, like that are still lighthearted and there for you, like Spy X Family, Sakamoto Days. They're lighthearted, funny, things like that. But you also have series like the Chainsaw Mans, the Hell Paradises, the darker shonen demographic. The Jujutsu Kaisens is a little bit of a darker series as well. And it's kind of interesting to see how there's like a dark big three. I've started seeing that, like, they have the new big three where people say, depending on the argument, people say Black Clover, My Hero, series like that. But you also have like the darker triad where it's like Hell's Paradise, Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen. You can also replace Jujutsu Kaisen with Dandadan now. And like you getting this darker feel in the magazine, which I personally like, obviously, because I'm older. But I don't know how it affects younger kids in Japan. I don't know. I would love to know how Japanese readers or parents even perceive or what they think about these darker shonen series. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about the tropes when it comes to each of them. And next, I'm just going to tell you guys, actually not that much left to really talk about. I'm going to tell you guys my top three, or my three favorite, not my top three, because I'm going to be using a lot of bias in these series, but it's going to be my three favorite shonen. That's what I'm going to start with. So my three favorite shonen, you guys know these pretty much, because if you watched my top 5 manga, these three are in there. And one of my three favorite seinen are in there as well. But my list has drastically changed. I will say that. So my number 3 and my favorite shonen is Naruto. Now, obviously, I feel like Naruto is one of those series that I wish I would have started reading or watching, getting into in general, when I was younger. Because I will say that this series really just blew me away with how well done it was. In my opinion, I thought it was well done. I loved Naruto. I love some of the psychological themes that are dealt with, such as the pain arc. When you deal with some of the topics that the pain arc deals with, I think that Kishimoto did a great job of implementing that into Naruto Shippuden. Like where the time skip happens on really went from being that lighthearted kiddie show. Like it did have dark moments in the first half of Naruto, like a lot of deaths and everything as well. But I feel like Shippuden, where Shippuden was, it took it to another level. You know what I mean? And then so yeah, that's Naruto. One of my favorite casts in all of Shonen. Some of my favorite fights in all of Shonen as well. Like they had such great fight scenes in Naruto. And number two for my three favorite Shonen is going to be none other than Death Note. You guys know what I gotta say about Death Note. I have a video still up on the channel talking about Death Note. To me, it's will always be one of my favorite. It may move down on the list of my all-time manga, but when it comes to shonen, it will always be up there. Reason being, I feel like Death Note really stood up for itself in a time where battle shonen was so relevant. You had the big three around the same time as Death Note, and the big three dealt with, they were battle shonen, so they dealt with fighting, power systems and everything. And Death Note came in and really proved that it could stand with these battle shonen by being its own battle shonen, but changing the battle shonen scene around on its head, because it was a psychological battle shonen which really rivaled these normal fighting battle shonen, which I really loved about it. Just the fight with your mind, it really had me captivated, to be honest. I love reading, like, or watching things like Law and Order, things that are psychological, dude. Like when it comes to like detective work and all that, and I feel like I got that from Death Note and more. A lot of twists and turns, and I just absolutely love Death Note. So that's my number two from my favorite shonen, and of course my number one. Speaking about a lot of twists and turns, we got Attack on Titan. Now, what more can I say besides what I've already said on this channel multiple times already? Attack on Titan for me is a masterpiece. I absolutely love it. I give it a 10 out of 10 without bias. I give it a 10 out of 10. With Death Note, I give it a 10 out of 10 with bias. Okay, like that's definitely it. But Attack on Titan definitely is a 10 out of 10 for me. I absolutely loved it, and I just could not put a volume down. I have every single volume that's been released so far. The last volume comes out next month, and I'm really excited to get into like having the whole collection, and then maybe binge reading it a year from now or 2 years from now, because I definitely will reread Attack on Titan at some point. I'm definitely gonna watch the anime once the second half, or like part 2 of season 4 comes out and it finishes, and the anime is complete. I'm definitely gonna sit down and I want to experience it for sure, animated. I did a long time ago. I mentioned this a bunch of times, but I definitely want to get into it and binge it the whole way through. I'm gonna really enjoy that for sure. So I may not reread it right away. I may just watch it instead. But those are my three favorite shonen: Naruto, Death Note, Attack on Titan. Again, these are like my top three, really. But if I want to mention any other shonen that weren't on this list, I can mention things that I don't have as highly rated at all, but I just really enjoy them. I got series like Sakamoto Days, Jujutsu Kaisen, I think is alright. I like it. Dan I love, series like that. What else? Chainsaw Man's pretty dope. My Hero Academia is one of my favorite in the Shonen Jump magazine currently. A lot of people have a lot to say about the anime, but that may be one of the series that become like manga only type thing, because I don't know what the studio is doing with it. I don't watch the anime, but I hear a lot of negative feedback from it. So, but where it's at right now, manga wise, like after this villain arc that I guess was in the anime, I don't know if they did the My Villain Academia type thing, but that arc and after, whatever happens after, really changed the dynamic for My Hero, in my opinion. It really made it darker, and it made it a little more grittier, despite it being, kind of lighthearted at times, but it really got darker, in my opinion, My Hero. So I really do like where My Hero's going, and I can't wait to see how it ends. I cannot wait for the final battle. I can't wait to see what happens and what what continues to happen in the series until its finale. So now that was my, like I said, that was my 3 favorite shonen and some other shonen that I do like. But now my 3 favorite seinen. So at number 3, this is a series that I talked about in my last solo episode, and that's going to be My Dearest Self with Malice Aforethought. I told you guys what it was all about. The only thing I'm going to say now is if you guys haven't read that, please definitely check it out. The only bad thing about it that I have to say, and it has nothing to do with the story, characters, or nothing, is that it's finished with 98 chapters, but for some reason, the English release and scans only goes up to chapter 91, and they've been releasing slowly to like, I don't know why. They've been like releasing them ever so, like they were releasing them really quickly, and they just like started releasing them really slowly. Like, it hasn't been released since almost 20 days already. So like, last chapter that released was chapter 91, and it released on September 7th. So I don't know what's going on with them. We just need 7 chapters more. I just need the last 7 chapters to see how this great series ends. And it's like they're playing with my heart. Like, I want to see how this series ends, but they're just playing with me too much. But that was that. I don't want to really talk about it much. And the next series I really don't want to talk about much either. But I'll just tell you guys, it's The Flowers of Evil. You guys know how I feel about it. I have a video out with my boy Blue Tempest. So if you guys are on YouTube and you want to check it out, please do. It was a dope video, dope collab. I really had a lot of fun recording that and talking about the series that really he put me onto. Oshimi's a great mangaka. I really want to get more of his work, and I'm really loving everything I've read from him thus far, and I definitely want to get more Oshimi manga in my collection, like series like Happiness and, you know, things like that. I think it's Shino. I don't remember the other ones, to be honest. But I know there's other series from Oshimi, and I definitely want to get into it because I just love his style and what he talks about. The Flowers of Evil was so dope. I love the ending. I loved how the main character was able to find some, he was able to find some, not retribution, or the word is peace, right? He was able to find some peace towards the end of it, after seeing the girl and after the time skip. Again, I don't remember names. I'm bad with names, but you know, the way that the main character was able to find peace with himself and with the situation that he went through, and it really shows the growth of the character, and I really did love that about The Flowers of Evil. But that was The Flowers of Evil. And then my number 1, I'm gonna tell you guys what my number 1 seinen is currently. But I'm just gonna tell you guys because I'm gonna talk about it a little later. I'm gonna talk about it later in my next segment. But my number 1 is actually Monster. Yes, I did read Monster, and I'm really, really, really got a lot to say about it. Not maybe that much, but like I got some decent things to say about it. I actually really enjoyed it, but some other seinen that I enjoyed, I did like Vinland Saga, the 6 books that I read so far. I'm waiting for book 12 to come out next month, so that way I could just binge it from the beginning all the way through. Berserk, I only got through the first 2 deluxe editions. I have the first 5 leading that. I think that ends the Golden Age arc. I don't know what's up with me in Berserk. Honestly, I feel like Berserk got really dark, and maybe I wasn't at the right headspace to really read that at the time, and I just never been able to open it up again. I will open it up again and continue because I remember what happened. Surprisingly, I remember what happened, and I will just continue to read it, and hopefully just finish the Golden Age arc at least, and then I'll see from there if I'm gonna continue reading. I'm not gonna buy any more deluxe editions. I only bought the first 5 because the Golden Age arc is apparently the greatest arc in all of manga, so that's why I got it. But I'm not gonna buy any more deluxe editions because 1, they're expensive, and 2, I don't have enough space. Although I have 2 bookshelves, I don't have enough space for deluxe editions on them because of the way I have it set up. So I just don't feel like really getting all of Berserk anyways, to be honest, at least for now. Maybe if I read it on scans or like on the computer, or my phone after the Golden Age arc, and I decide that, hey, like, I really enjoyed this series until like its finale, then you know what, I'll go and buy the deluxe editions, and just, you know, to support the mangaka, may he rest in peace, and to support the industry. But other than that, I'm just gonna read the first 5 deluxe editions and, you know, see where I go from there with Berserk. But other great series that I read, let me think. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to see. Hold on, I'm trying to see on my collection, like, if I could try to peek. I don't really have much seinen, to be honest. Oh, Blood on the Tracks, I guess you can say, is a seinen too, right? Blood on the Tracks is really great. I love how dark it is, how scary it could be at times. Like, it's not like scary like a paranormal activity or anything. It's just you turn the page when you read physically and you get this really uncomfortable artwork, and it's just really amazing. I just really love Oshimi, man. I really love Oshimi. But I think that's pretty much it from the seinen in my collection. Not gonna lie, I do have a lot of shonen. You also got Hellsing. That's another one I've read. You guys should know my feelings about that. I have a video out on Hellsing as well about why I think it was alright. I did kind of clickbait the video, and they got a little hate for it. But oh well, you gotta do what you gotta do. You feel me? But those are my three favorite seinen. My Dearest Self with Malice Aforethought, Flowers of Evil, and Monster. So that's pretty much what I got for that. But what else? That's honestly all I gotta say really for shonen and seinen. I love them both for what they offer, what they bring to the table. The shonen demographic I usually read when I want something lighthearted, a little bit lighthearted. Like, I still want there to be like some elements of like not darkness, but just like for example, you have One Piece, where I know a little bit about it. Like, I know, like, in One Piece they have like this whole thing where like who's really the good guy, the pirates or the navy, and like I love that element of like who's the good guy. Kind of like psychologically, you'd like, man, you gotta really think about it. Obviously, you may say the pirates because you know the main character is a pirate, but you know it really makes you think. And I really think that seinen does that really well when it comes to dealing with real life subjects. So when it comes to just me wanting some fun, I read a shonen. When I want something serious, I read a seinen. That's really what I go for. When I want something in between, I read a shonen that's more towards the seinen side, such as the likes of Chainsaw Man, Dan. You know, something that is really enjoyable for both sides, but it like shows elements of both. I really do like that. But that's what I gotta say for those demographics of manga. This episode's really short. It may be really short compared to the other ones. I just really didn't have much to say. I didn't have call-ins today, unfortunately. But I will say that if you guys do like, please leave a like on this video, or audio, I should say. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you guys so much for the support I've had on Spotify as well. I've gotten a decent amount of streams and stuff on it, and I'm really proud of where the Spotify is, and I really want to help it grow as well and help grow this channel. So if you are new, be sure to leave a like, comment what you guys think of Shonen and Seinen, and if you're new, please hit that sub button. It really means a lot if you guys just check out this channel and subscribe. But yeah, to pretty much wrap up this episode, I'm going to tell you guys my current reading and watching log. Like, what have I been reading? And yes, I said watching. I actually kind of got back into anime, sort of, right? I kind of the Netflix anime scene. I only watched 2 series, but I have 5 series to talk about right now. I may talk about them a little bit more in depth. But after I finished or caught up to My Dearest Self with Malice Aforethought, which is what I talked to you guys about 2 weeks ago, 2 episodes ago, I should say. From then on, I've actually gone through a few series. So the first series I actually started reading and I caught up to is Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. Now, if you guys don't know what that is, I'm going to read you guys the synopsis that's on AniList. So pretty much Mashle, Magic, and Muscles is a world of magic where magic is used for everything. But deep in the forest exists a young man who spends his time training and bulking up because he can't use magic, but he enjoys a peaceful life with his father. One day, his life is put in danger, and will his muscular body protect him from the magic users who are out to get him? Powerfully trained muscles crush magic as this abnormal magical fantasy begins. The best way to explain Mashle, Magic, and Muscles is if One Punch Man and Harry Potter had a baby, it would be Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. Because you have a lot of comedy. I'm not going to lie, guys. When I read something, I'll notice if something's funny, but I'm weird. I don't laugh sometimes. Like, I just be like, oh, that was funny. Like, all right, whatever. But Mashle, Magic, and Muscles really actually made me laugh out loud at times. I love the what should I say? The comedy of it. I don't know why I can't think of words today. Like, I can't think of words today. I love the comedy. I love that it actually made me laugh because, like, I read some series and, like, I see that they're funny, but they don't make me laugh out loud like Mashle did. I love the characters. I will say the main character is a little overpowered, so that's why I compare it to One Punch Man. Because if you like how Saitama is really overpowered, you kind of get that with Mashle. The only thing I will say with Mashle is he obviously is the protagonist, so you see a lot more of him. Even though Saitama's the protagonist in One Punch Man, he is so overpowered that he's not in a lot of the, in a lot of the content. Like they go through a lot with the side characters and villains and stuff. Saitama's still there, but they don't really go in depth with him because they really can't, because he's really not one dimensional, but he's really simple. He's just really strong, That's really it. But Mash Bernadette is really like that too. He's extremely strong. He doesn't have magic, which I like how the magic this world building, I like it a lot. Like I like how if you're not a magic user, you get executed pretty much. Like you're dead. Like you can not survive in the world as a non-magic user, and then you see this kid join this school without magic, and a lot of people aren't in favor with this. They don't like the idea of having a non-magic user in their school. Probably could ruin the reputation. But the principal or the headmaster pretty much lets him through and wants to see how he grows. And you see a little bit of his growth. You see the growth really of his, side characters and friends, such as Dot Barrett, Finn Ames, Lance Crown, Lemon Irvine. Those characters, really, you see them grow as well. I like the magic system. I like the power, some of the magic I've seen in the manga, like some of the abilities I've seen other characters have. I really enjoyed from what I've read. And I the only thing I can say I'm kind of disappointed about is there's only 70 something chapters, and from what I understand, the manga is already towards its conclusion. Like it's already past the halfway point. So it's like 3/4 completed, and it's going to be completed soon. So it hasn't even had 100 chapters yet. Hopefully it reaches 100 plus chapters. But if it does finish early, I guess that's kind of good for me, because then I can collect the manga. Because I'm really contemplating starting to collect the manga as it releases. But I still don't know yet when it comes to Mashle. I may just wait till it's done. But I just don't know, because I don't want it to go out of stock like Chainsaw Man does. And you know the story with Chainsaw Man and the way things have been reprinting and being out of stock for long periods of time. So I may just pick it up just to have it. But other than that, I really like Mashle. I recommend Mashle to anyone that just wants to read something funny. The fight scenes I think are dope. For me, they're easy to read. There's a lot of series I read manga wise that the action I don't know what's going on. With Mashle, I really understand what's going on during the fight scenes. There's a lot of humor and pretty much a fun ride. It's nothing too deep. It's nothing too crazy. For me, I got it. I got Mashle right now at a 7.8. It's a solid series. I enjoy it. Pretty much on the same level as like Sakamoto days for me, and I just really enjoy it. So Mashle Magic and Muscles, definitely recommend to anybody that hasn't checked it out. Please do. It's really fun, and that's the first thing I did was read Mashle. Then after I finished Mashle, I'm taking you guys literally in order of how I read or watched. So after I finished reading Mashle, I was kind of a little bit burned out from reading, so I was like, you know what? Let me get back into anime. I don't have anything against anime. You guys know this. I just prefer to read. I think manga's superior, but I don't shit on anime. I like anime. So I was put on by my boy, the Anime Bro. I did a collab with him on his channel that should be out soon. And he recommended that I watch Levius. Levius is a series that pretty much is about like how do I explain it? It's like not robotic. It's like cyborg. They're not cyborgs. Well, it's people that have robotic arms and they're fighting like they're boxing. I'm gonna look for it real quick so I can give you guys an actual synopsis instead of just giving you some BS. It's only 12 episodes thus far. So basically, okay, in the 12th century empire after the war rose mechanical boxing. That's the term I was looking for. Mechanical boxing, which involved people who had their bodies modified. Under his uncle's tutelage, Levius, a lonely youth who lost his father in the war and whose mother is in a coma, enters the mechanical boxing scene. So basically, you see Levius you see his beginnings, and you see how he learned boxing with his uncle and got into this mechanical boxing scene, and you see him rise up in the ranks. There is a manga to it that's completed. I may check it out, but I did see it in Barnes and Nobles, and I kind of don't like the artwork of the manga really, so I may not pick it up. But I do like the anime. The animation's a little interesting. I think it's CGI. So if you don't like that, then I guess then there's nothing you can do about it. But I do like the action. I really just watched it for the fighting. I wanted something that wasn't too deep. I wanted something that was kind of like not dumbed down, just fighting. I just wanted to see fighting live. However, there was some deepness to it. You get, besides just the fighting, you get to see Levius with this girl named AJ, who he's trying to save from the main antagonist in the series. And I really like how, or the main antagonist is Dr. Crown, and what he's doing, I'm not going to spoil because it's only 12 episodes, but what he's doing is pretty wrong in the eyes of society, and no one really understands what he's doing because he's kind of cheating, but he's pretty much making AJ, who's this girl that Levius remembers from the past and during the war, getting carried off by a robot who he didn't save back then. You see, she got turned into like a cyborg, really. Like, she still just got arms and mechanically, but like, he brainwashed her. Dr. Crown brainwashed her to pretty much be a weapon of mass destruction in the mechanical boxing scene. And you see Levius fight for her, fight to get her back and to save her. And I just love that they added that element. It got a little bit deeper than just fighting and rising the ranks. It didn't make it repetitive. Despite it only being 12 episodes, you just saw a few fights and you're like, okay, is this all it's going to be? But it got deeper. You get introduced to some other characters. It gets deeper as well. And it's just a really dope story to me. I got it at a 7.8. It's nothing crazy, but it's just fun. If you don't mind CGI, then check it out for sure. So that was Levius. Next, we have my very first Naoki Urasawa work that I read, because I decided, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. It was only 65 chapters, and that is Pluto. Now, really quickly, I'm going to give you the synopsis of Pluto if you guys have never heard of it. Again, Naoki Urasawa is the mangaka who's done Monster, Billy Bat, 20th Century Boys, 21st Century Boys, and Pluto, just to name a few. It's got only 65 chapters completed, 8 volumes. I definitely want to add this to my collection for rereadability. It definitely has rereadability because I love it so much. So Pluto is set in an ideal world where man and robots coexist. Someone or something has destroyed the powerful Swiss robot Mont Blanc. Elsewhere, a key figure in a robot rights group is murdered. The two incidents appear to be unrelated except for one very conspicuous clue. The bodies of both victims have been fashioned into some sort of bizarre collage complete with makeshift horns placed by the victims' heads. Interpol assigns robot detective Gesicht, I think that's how you pronounce it, Gesicht, I don't know how to pronounce it, to this most strange and complex case. And he eventually discovers that he too, as one of the 7 great robots of the world, is one of the targets. So basically, the main character is a great detective, and there's 7 great robots of the world. You got him, Mont Blanc, you got Adam, Epsilon, Brow, oh no, not Brow, where are the other ones? Off the top of my head, I can't really remember. Brando, North Number 2, and Heracles. So you have these 7 that are pretty much the most, I guess, like the most intellectually, like, they're robots. Like, they're really smart. They're really in touch with their emotions too, surprisingly. That's what I loved about Pluto, was you have a mystery story. You have a seinen mystery story that deals with trying to find out who is this guy that's killing humans and robots. And then you also get some corruption when it comes to some governments. And the thing I love the most about Pluto was you really see these robots have feelings. Like, I remember one scene, there was a regular robot, not like these like robots that look like humans, like actual just robot gets killed, and he had a wife. And the main character, Gesicht, went to her and told her what happened. And she actually said, man, I understand how these humans feel. And that hit, because it was like, whoa, these robots are starting to get emotions. And then the robots that look like humans, you see them, like the main 7 robots of the world, you see them gain emotions. And you see them feel more humanistic. And it's just a really beautiful story. I think it's done really well. The only complaint I have about this series is I wish it was longer. Honestly, I wish it was longer. If you guys ever heard of Astro Boy by Osamu Tezuka, it's pretty much referenced in it. It has to do in the world of Astro Boy. It's kind of like an adaptation of Astro Boy. And yeah, I just loved Pluto. I got it at a 9.1. It's definitely in my top 10 manga so far from what I read. It's in my top 10 list for sure. And I just absolutely love Pluto. So I read Pluto, and right after I read Pluto, I was like, holy crap, I love Naoki Urasawa's writing. I just love the way his storytelling evolved throughout those 65 chapters. Let me get into Monster. So that was what I did next, was read Monster, and it's 162 chapters. And if you guys want to know what Monster's about, here it is. Everyone faces uncertainty at some point in their lives. Even a brilliant surgeon like Kenzo Tenma is no exception. But there's no way he could have known that his decision to stop chasing professional success and instead concentrate on his oath to save people's lives would result in the birth of an abomination. The questions of good and evil now take on a terrifyingly real dimension. Years later in Germany, during the tumultuous post-reunification period, middle-aged childless couples are being killed one after another. The serial killer's identity is known. The reasons why he kills are not. Dr. Tenma sets out on a journey to find the killer's twin sister, who may hold some clues to solving the enigma of the monster. Now, I'm not going to say who the monster is, because now that I think about it, I feel like it'll spoil it. But pretty much, it starts off with Tenma. He's a brain surgeon, and he pretty much had he was like pretty much the main guy at the hospital, right? Like, he was well known, loved. He was married to his boss's daughter, was getting, well, engaged to his boss's daughter, and the boss, he did whatever the boss wanted him to do, really. So like, if the boss wanted him to don't like to not do surgery on one person but to do it on another, he would do it, until it got to the point where one lady cried because her husband got there first before someone else, and since he was told to do the other person, her husband died. And that really stuck with him, because then he started to concentrate, like I mentioned before, his oath to save people's lives. So the first person that came in, he would save. Turns out one of the people that he saved was a little boy who he decided to do surgery on instead of the mayor of the town, who needed surgery because he had I think a brain hemorrhage or something like that, a brain aneurysm, something along those lines. And he decided not to do the surgery on the mayor, which was he was told to do, because the boy came in first and he wanted to save the boy's life. And from there on, the story just unravels, and it's an absolutely terrific ride. I gave Monster a 10 out of 10. I think it was a beautiful story. It has some really great characters. And you also get the same elements from Pluto with Monster when it comes to certain characters that were in 511 Hohenheim, I think it's called. If you guys have seen Monster before, then you know what I'm talking about. You get these characters that kind of are like emotionless, and you see some of them start to get emotions, kind of like the robots in Pluto. And I just think Urasawa does a great job of really giving emotionless things or people emotions, like a change of heart. I really love how he writes that. And I really enjoyed Monster, man. I really, it's in my top 3 probably. It's up there. I don't even know where I rank it compared to the other series I gave a 10 out of 10 for. But that's a decision for like a later topic. But it has one of my favorite antagonists that I've read so far. It's just a fantastic antagonist. It was a little annoying because it's set in Germany, so it was a lot of German names and stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely going to get into more Urasawa work. I wanted to read it physically, but I've been trying to save money, so I've not been buying a lot of manga at all. I've only been buying the manga I've been collecting as they release monthly, like My Hero, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, things along that nature. That's about it. But everything else I haven't really been buying. But what else? That's all I got to say for Monster, man. If you guys haven't read it, please do. I'm definitely going to check out 20th Century Boys, but that one's about 200 and something chapters, and then 21st is 16 chapters. So that's something I'm going to hold off on a little bit, give myself a break, because Urasawa does get wordy at times, but it's a great ride. It's a fantastic read, man. And finally, what I did, which was I finished this yesterday from recording, and that is watching season 2 of Beastars. Absolutely loved it. It was a really nice watch. I just love Beastars as a whole, and I would love to read it at some point. I think it's just I just love how Beastars is like so realistic in a animal world. Like, there's a black market. You get to see how the black market is dealt with, and I just really, really enjoy that. You know, you see the growth of Legoshi, how he trains himself to not eat people, how not to eat meat or anything like that. So he's and you see his struggle with it in the first season and the second season. You see how he's overcoming it. You see like crime organizations like a yakuza type thing with lions, and you get to see the growth of other characters. You get the main antagonist, which is kind of like a main antagonist. You finally in this season find out who killed Tem in the first season and who devoured him. So that is great. I love that the mystery was solved and it wasn't dragged on for a long period of time. But Beastars, man, despite having CGI, I just love the voice acting in Japanese. The sub is a great listen. I just like listening to it. I love the soundtrack, the emotion. It's just a great drama. There's so much to it. There's action, there's drama, there's romance. It's like everything. Call me a furry if you want. Beastars is fire, and I absolutely stand by that to the day I die. It's a great series. But that's pretty much it. That was my reading and watching log. That's what I have to say about the shonen versus seinen, or like what I think about those demographics, what tropes I like, what series I like. And that's going to be it for this episode. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like, comment down below on YouTube what you guys think of shonen versus seinen. What are your favorite, if you guys want to tell me your top 3 favorite shonen and also your top 3 favorite seinen in the comment section down below, be sure to let me know. And if you're new, please subscribe. Definitely would appreciate it. And if you're listening on Spotify, hit that heart, follow, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much. This was Laugh Now Die Later on the Anime Now Manga Later podcast. Peace.